Caldwell Hollow was the sort of place that barely existed on maps. Its roads were not quite straight, its buildings not quite symmetrical, and its fields not quite remarkable. It was a village of muted colors and soft sounds, the kind of place where even the wind seemed to whisper quietly out of respect for how calm everything was. In the very center of this unassuming village lived Marin Avondale, a man whose life flowed with such predictable regularity that one could almost set a clock by his daily habits. He was neither tall nor short, neither thin nor heavy, and his hair sat somewhere between tidy and slightly mussed. Marin woke up at precisely the same time every morning, just moments after the first light of dawn brushed the rooftops of Caldwell Hollow with a pale golden tint. When Marin opened his eyes on this particular morning, nothing felt different. Nothing felt unusual. The air was the same mild temperature it always was at this hour, and the faint scent of dew on the grass drifted through the slightly open window. Marin stretched, not because he felt stiff, but because stretching was part of what he always did before rising. His home was a simple wooden cottage with softly worn floors and windows that opened with a gentle squeak. In the kitchen, Marin set about preparing his morning tea with his usual steady rhythm. The kettle on the stove top had a small dent on one side, an imperfection Marin had grown fond of, and it whistled with a tone that was neither too sharp nor too soft. As he waited for the water to boil, Marin arranged his teacup, saucer, and spoon with meticulous care. He was not obsessive. He simply found comfort in small consistencies. The cup always sat slightly to the right of the saucer center, and the spoon rested at an angle just shy of horizontal. These small details anchored his day. The kettle finally released a mild, steady whistle. Marin poured the hot water over the lightly fragrant tea leaves, watching the steam rise in soft, swirling ribbons. There was something calming about the slow dance of heat meeting air. He let the tea steep for exactly 3 minutes, not because he needed to, but because he always had. With his cup in hand, Marin settled onto the small bench beside the window. From here, he could observe Caldwell Hollow easing into its morning. The cobbled path outside remained empty for several minutes, and then Mrs. Hembry passed by, carrying her basket of laundry. She moved with her usual, slow, deliberate gait, and Marin raised his cup slightly in a quiet greeting she likely did not see. A moment later, he watched as 2 sparrows landed on the fence post across the lane. They chirped in a soft, repetitive pattern. Nothing surprising, nothing dramatic, just their familiar morning routine. Marin found the sound reassuring. The sparrows of Caldwell Hollow were as dependable as the seasons. After he finished his tea, Marin washed the cup and spoon, placing them gently on a cloth to dry. Then he stepped outside to begin his daily walk. He wore a coat of muted gray and boots that were comfortably broken in, and he closed his door with the same quiet click he used every day. The morning air was cool but gentle, carrying the scent of wet earth and distant pine. The sky held a pale, milky glow that suggested the sun was stretching behind a thin layer of clouds. Marin walked down the lane with no particular urgency, greeting whatever familiar sights the village offered him.